Police Scotland say they're working with international partners to disable the criminal gang behind a cyber attack against Scotland's environmental watchdog. It's believed a group known as Conti was responsible for locking SEPA out of its own IT systems on Christmas Eve. The agency refused to pay a ransom and is still trying to recover from the damage. Our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan reports.
It was important to meet in person.
When President Biden met President Putin in Geneva last week, cybersecurity was high on the agenda. The US leader told his Russian counterpart that critical infrastructure should be off limits to cyber attacks. Some areas should be out of bounds. They agreed to begin talks about some kind of arrangement, but it will be too late for SEPA, a critical part of Scotland's infrastructure, which was locked out of its IT systems on Christmas Eve. The criminals responsible had demanded a ransom. SEPA refused to pay up. The agency's chief executive is Terry Ahern.
If we'd paid, then the criminal world in the cyber world would have said, well, Scottish Government agencies seem to pay, so we would have increased the risk to everyone else.
It could take SEPA another 18 months to fully recover. The director of Friends of the Earth Scotland, Dr Richard Dixon, was a member of SEPA's board for 8 years.
What are your thoughts on the people behind this?
I think this is absolutely despicable. Attacking an environment agency just to get some money out of them. What's the point in that? Whether it's some state-sponsored thing or it's 3 teenagers in a bedroom, we don't know. But it really is disgraceful that they're doing these kind of attacks. And all power to the authorities which are trying to track them down and stop them doing it.
So who was responsible? The prime suspects are a ransomware group called Conti, the same people behind a terrifying cyber attack in May, which left Irish hospitals shutting down their computers. Jen Miller-Osborne is an expert on threat intelligence at the California-based cybersecurity firm Palo Alto Networks.
They stand out as one of the more greedy and aggressive groups. They are very, very aggressive in their targeting and their research of the victims beforehand. So if someone's like, oh, we can't pay, we'll just be like, yes, you can.
And where are they? Most experts agree that most cyber attacks originate from Russia and its former Soviet neighbours.
That is definitely the suspicion. I don't know that anyone has a quote-unquote smoking gun.
It is serious international organised crime, and there are no great expectations of anyone ever facing criminal charges.
The nature of some of the organisations that are being attacked is of great concern.
For Malcolm Graham, Deputy Chief Constable at Police Scotland, SEPA's fate highlights the ever-changing threat from cyber attacks against all of us. He says action is being taken.
I think the nature of these crimes at the moment is the process of investigation isn't necessarily going to lead, most likely, to some sort of judicial outcome in Scotland. You can disable the group by working with international partners, or you can ensure that your systems can't be penetrated in the country that you're in, and we're working on both.
Jen Miller-Osborne says keeping the criminals out is increasingly difficult.
There has to have been some sort of small chink in the armour. You can have an awesome security posture and they can still find a way to exploit it, to get in, if they're really that dedicated to it.
The Scottish Business Resilience Centre tries to help Scottish organisations protect themselves. Its chief executive, Jan McCorry, urges everyone to have what she calls a healthy paranoia about cybersecurity.
The biggest lesson out there is that this can happen to any organisation. Attacks are not focused on large organisations or public sector organisations. Small businesses can get attacked, and not just by ransomware, but any kind of myriad of cyber attack. It's not just your systems you need to look at. What we're encouraging companies to do is to take the conversation around the organisation. So please educate all staff around the cyber risks within your organisation.
It's always better to meet face to face.
It's hard to imagine that agreements between presidents will stop the cyber attacks around the world. The criminal gangs are making millions. All organisations like SEPA can do is protect themselves as best they can.
Our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan there.